Designing your dream lifestyle is going to require that you actually focus on the process rather than the destination. And that's what we're going to be talking about, how to design your dream lifestyle. Let's do it. Welcome to the Dream Lifestyle Podcast, where the goal is to help you craft your dream lifestyle by becoming the best version of yourself. In today's conversation, we are talking about designing your dream lifestyle. Now, you might have noticed over the last week, we have guests now. There are guests now on this podcast, so I'm honored to have my baby sister here on this podcast with me.
Hey,
who would have thought it? Sarah Gross is here.
We go way back.
Way back. I remember
childhood.
Yes, I remember when you were brought home and I held you in my arms.
I remember a couple key moments. One,
what was the key moment that you remember?
This is the story that Trevon tells everyone, and it's when I drowned him.
Oh yeah, you almost killed me. Yes, you almost killed me.
And it was an accident, I would like to say. And then we have a really cute baby photo that I'm going to send to you. And it's where I'm talking on the phone and you're in the background and we're like watching a basketball game.
I can see that. That sounds on brand.
It's very cute.
But yeah, so essentially she was the right person to have on this podcast because she almost killed me. And no, but on a serious note, you were doing a lot of amazing things.
Oh, thank you.
I think, you're a perfect person for this podcast just because you've always pretty much excelled at everything that you did. But you've always done it your way. You've always had fun. I will say that's one thing. I don't want to go as far to say I envied you for that, but you've always just lived life. Like you're just like, oh yeah, no, life's gonna be great. Sunshine, happiness. Like that's always just your disposition.
Thank you.
Whereas my side of it is always gotta grind, gotta struggle and get through it, go through the tough times. But I think even in that though, you basically skipped a lot of grades, right? Which I think is something.
I skipped one. I skipped kindergarten, which feels like a big deal, but it really was just like you skipped naps and like blocks.
You did, but at the same time though, you skipping that did kind of put you in rare air where you are 22.
My last day of 22.
Well, yes, you turn 23 tomorrow, which is awesome.
So this is a big moment for me.
But you're 22, but you are in a space now where you've already graduated college, basically done with grad school.
Done with grad school,
right?
I have a master's.
So I think that's the thing that's always, just kind of blowing my mind is the fact that you're 22, but you're in the phase of, my age. I'm 27. And so it's like that 5-year gap, like you're kind of well ahead of your time.
Thank you.
And so I just think that's dope. I just think that's really cool.
Thank you.
Seeing how you navigate all of it.
I feel like I don't know if it was a song that was released, but like the work hard, play hard.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's low key my motto of life.
It sounds right.
I think life is so stressful and there's so many things that have to get done and so many tasks and to-dos and there's so many goals and things you want to achieve. But if you're doing it and you're not having fun doing it, for me, it doesn't seem worth it. Like we really truly only have one life and it's only for as long as God grants us. And if I spend the whole thing working towards something that I never know if I'll ever actually get, no matter how much work I put towards it, and if I don't enjoy my life, it's not worth it to me.
So with that, what's a dream lifestyle to you then? Because one of the things that I talk about a lot with just clients and just on this podcast is about how your dream lifestyle is connected to your purpose, how your dream lifestyle really isn't so much about a specific position, but it is more so about how you wake up feeling every single day, how you view the world and different things like that. So with that, right, you have a, work hard, play hard type of spirit. What do you think is a dream lifestyle for you?
I would say, I love that you talked about like your purpose is attached to, what did you say? Sorry.
Just basically that your purpose is attached to the dream lifestyle.
Yes.
Like, your purpose is the DNA of the dream lifestyle is your purpose.
Yeah. And I think jumping off of that, I think your purpose is attached to your identity in that sense as well. Like if I'm working really hard towards a specific job, but I don't have the character and the heart and the mindset to back it up, for me, that's not a dream lifestyle. So I think that's the mentality I first have to go with of like, okay, who am I becoming in the process? And if my dream lifestyle is to make tons of money and to always feel comfortable and to drive a nice car, like right now I'm like driving a beater car, but like my dream lifestyle is to drive a Benz one day. But I think for me, when I'm like on my way to that goal, it's asking myself the question of like, who am I becoming in the process? Am I becoming a person that I enjoy being around, that I like wake up every morning and I'm excited about life? Or is my dream lifestyle me just like grinding and waking up at 5 a.m. and being miserable and going to bed at 6 and like meal prepping and not actually like having fun, you know?
Well, I think even to that point though, because I like the idea of becoming, right? Just always continuously asking yourself, who am I becoming in this process? And I do believe that there's a lot of gratification that's possible if that's always the main question, right? As you are going through your process of achieving whatever goal that, that is necessary. And I do believe like there is a healthy balance of that work hard where you are going to do some things that are uncomfortable. You are going to have to wake up at 5 a.m. sometimes.
Yeah.
You are going to have to really push through and do those types of things. But also at the same time, there is, at least in my experience, I always found it a really big confidence booster whenever, I realized just who I became kind of went up to the next level, right? Like, so for me with, my basketball career and now in business and everything like that, when I start to see, just who I'm becoming, when I start to see, and not just who I'm becoming in the sense of like who I see in the mirror, which is always a great thing.
Yeah.
But when you actually also do see the fruits of that labor, right? When I see the fruits of when I'm up at 5 a.m. every single day, and I'm basically making things happen and I really start to see it, in the way in which I measure success, which for me is about people that I impact. It's about, somebody being able to say, I have clarity now because of whatever we talked about and just whatever the work that I do. But I think in that there's so much gratification that comes from just the ability to look at, okay, this is the path I have to take, right? And while it may not be a path that's all fun, and I think that's where a lot of people mess up, where like they're on like two sides of the extreme, right? And I know I've fallen into that myself, where it's like, okay, it's time to grind. You just got to grind. It's time for fun. And I do believe there are seasons
like
there
that.
are seasons where it should be, look, we can put all that off to the back burner for right now, where like I'm focused on something, but there also should be a side. Well, there are people else, I should say, that fall into the trap of, well, life should just be great. Like I should just enjoy every single moment of it. Like if it's hard, there's no way that's for me. And I think a lot of people fall victim to that thinking where it's an extremes. You picking and choosing what side.
Yes. I think when people are met with resistance nowadays, and I'm Gen Z, so I feel like I can speak a little bit for our generation. I think when we're met with resistance, we think that we just stop. Like, oh, because it was hard, like that must not be for me. But I think anything that's hard is worth having, because once you've fought for something, okay, this is tough, so there must be something better on the other side. And I think a little bit of that will have to do with like the structure of your day. So for me, I found that like, because I work hard, play hard, I like to get the grind out of the way. So I'm up every morning at 5. And I know it's like a trend on TikTok right now. I don't know if you're watching right now.
I'm not aware of it.
But it's the 5 to 9 before the 9 to 5.
The 5 to 9 before the 9 to 5. Okay.
So like, what are you like? We have 24 hours in a day.
Right.
I think so much of it is wasted because we don't actually plan out what we're doing with our lives. Because we don't have a game plan of being like, okay, for an hour, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to hone in on this craft and I'm going to perfect to this. So I'm up every day at 5 because I know from 5 to 9, like before I have to do like all of my work for other people and like submit projects and all that stuff, I have like hours that I can use in my day. And I have to say like, I have no time to ever work out. I have no time to ever read my Bible or journal. So 5 a.m. I'm up, I'm working out, I'm studying, I'm like taking time with myself, figuring out how I can grow, how I can learn. So then I'm able to have that fun after work. So it's not just like one or the other, but it's that like healthy middle ground like you were talking about.
I love that you said that, because I think there are a lot of people that heard your first answer and they're like, well, yeah, she works hard, plays hard. So, because you said earlier, like, who wants to wake up at 5 a.m.? And like, waking up at 5 a.m. is certainly a skill.
It's horrible.
It's a skill. It takes time. You got to really like ease your way into it. I always tell people, listen, just go 30 minutes at a time, week by week, month by month, and you'll get there. But it's also a lot of just what you do the night before. But in that, you just said it, right? That you get up at 5.
I get up at 5.
So why? Like, what is the reason? Because it is horrible, as you said, right?
Yeah.
Like, why?
I think the sacrifice makes it worth it because I want to live a life that feels full and fun as well as disciplined, because I think the fun is worth it. I think it takes sacrifice in my morning. Like, because I'm not willing to sacrifice my dinner plans and like hanging out with my friends and like sitting at coffee shops and watching the sunset. I'm not willing to sacrifice that. So I've got to sacrifice my morning. And then on the flip side, you end up finding a little bit of joy in it. Like waking up at 5 for me, it's never exciting. It's never like I'm waking up like with rainbow, but it does kind of like, and then you get to watch the sunrise and you're like, oh, well, that was a moment. Like that was pretty fun. And then you create habits and routines. And I wake up every morning and I love my cup of coffee. Like that for me is so much fun. And that's like my own time. And you get to make joy of the things that once were burdensome in a way.
I like that you said that. So one of the things that I talk about all the time is how, anything worth having is hard to get.
Yeah.
And I think what you spoke about, how, waking up at 5 a.m., even though the actual action of waking up at 5 a.m. sucks, that you find like moments, you find opportunities, I'll call them, to, find basically moments of joy. Yeah. And I think a lot of people need to work on that skill. Just because, to the point where those extremes, right? Everyone falls on the extreme of, well, I should just enjoy every single bit of it. And people also fall on the extreme of, well, I got to grind it out and it's just all going to suck. But I do think it is valuable that regardless of whatever season we're in, that we do take the time to just find those moments that kind of balance us out. Mm-hmm. Because I agree with you. Like, there really is nothing like getting up at 5 a.m. Like, the actual getting up is the hardest part. Mm-hmm, but once you're up, right, you're seeing the sunrise, you're getting so much done before like 9 a.m., 8 a.m., whatever. And like, you feel like you've gone through an entire day.
Yes.
And like, you can't really describe it.
You kind of feel like a little better than everybody else.
100%. That's why I love it. No, I love that. Like it's the truth. Yeah. Like, you feel like you have an edge. Like if you go to your job, you go in your classroom, whatever the case may be, and you see everybody like, just slumbering on in.
And I'm like walking
and you're like, oh, yeah, it's been up. Like this is, like this is like the second half of my day. Like I think that's the beauty of it. And I think that also helps build confidence. Like, you know what I mean? Because I do believe, from a confidence standpoint, if you're looking for accountability, you need to check out the Dream Society. For $20 a month, you can join a community that will give you the support that you need and the accountability that you need to hit your goals every single week. And for $20 a month, it is the best investment that you will ever make in yourself. So I want you to go to dreamsociety.info right now to join, and let's get back to the episode. It's about creating evidence, right? Confidence, I think, has a lot to do with basically being able to honor your word to yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So if I say, you know what, I want to start getting up earlier, I want to manage my time better, create some level of morning routine, and you actually just follow through on it in some way, shape, or form, right? And you can get super specific with that. There's a lot of ways we can go with that. But in that, it's like, once you do the action, once you do the thing, like, you just, again, you feel like you have an edge on the world.
Yes.
Because it's like, wow, like, nobody else is doing this.
Yes. And honestly, when I think about life and I think about everybody falls into the comparison trap at one point or another. And when you like understand that we all have the same 24 hours in a day, like, I don't care, Elon Musk, whoever it is, we have the same hours.
Facts.
And it just matters how you're going to structure your life to fit the goals and like craft your life, like craft your dreams that we talk about. Like, you can't have goals and a vision. Like, for myself, I always say, like, I'm 22 now, and when I'm 45, like, I know who I want to be, what I want my life to look like. And if I am sleeping in till 8 a.m. and saying like, yes, at 45, I'm going to be a millionaire, like, that doesn't equate.
Facts.
Like, you have
that's a really, no, I'm so glad you said that, because there are a lot of people that they'll say, like, they'll kind of have hopes. I won't even call them dreams. They have hopes. Like, I hope that I'll be financially stable, financially free. I hope I'm going to have generational wealth and everything like that. But when you look at their actions today, there is no congruency at all. There's no symmetry. No. It's all contradiction.
Yeah.
Like, what, you know what I mean? It's to your point of like, you're waking up at 8 a.m. and you're telling me you're going to be financially free.
Yes.
Like, how does that work?
Yes.
Like, you're not, and you make what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's a money example, but it's like, for someone that wants to get fit, it's like, so you go to the gym once a week.
And you eat whatever you want all week.
And you're saying you're going to lose how many pounds in a month?
Yes.
Like, it just doesn't work.
Yes. And I think all of us, like, no matter what stage of life you're in, you have to do an exercise where you look at, okay, who am I today? If I keep going with these habits, who will I be in a year?
Yeah.
Like, it just, be so honest, be so for real with yourself and say, even though I have all these goals and dreams, if what I'm doing today doesn't represent who I want to be, you have to change them.
Something's got to change.
Something has to change.
Absolute. Something has to change. And I think the greatest thing about that is just that honesty you have to have with yourself.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like just looking yourself in the mirror. I remember one of the things, I went through a season where I was just busy, right? And that's what I told everyone. Like, I can't do it. I'm busy.
Yeah.
Right? Mom would ask me to do something. Not can't, I'm busy. Dad, nope, can't, I'm busy.
Busy, sorry.
And I think I've told this story on this podcast before, but I remember catching myself like on the couch just watching Netflix or something like that. It was like Wednesday at like 1 p.m. not doing a thing.
I'm so busy.
Right. And I think like Dad walked in or something like that and just looked at me.
Right.
And it just like, it was one of those looks. And I'm like, I did tell him I was too busy to do something.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting here at 1 p.m. watching Netflix. And it's like, I just had to, again, to your point, just be honest and just be like, you're not busy.
You're not busy. You're not busy. And I think it takes that self-awareness piece.
Yeah.
Like you have to know who you are. I read this book, and the name is slipping me right now, but he talked about how you have to be real with yourself on the inside. And then if you're not real with yourself, you're sending the younger or the less mature version of yourself to handle the day.
That's good.
Which is so real when you're like, okay, if I haven't healed this part of my mind or if I haven't matured in this area, I'm sending the 8-year-old version who got hurt in something out to perform a 22-year-old person's job and expecting them to perform.
Yeah. And it becomes such a snowball effect too.
Yeah.
Right? Like to that point where it's like, if you keep sending in a lower version of yourself into these situations where you have to perform at a higher level and you're not preparing yourself, you know, like you're dooming yourself. But then like if you're in the blame game, if you're in victim mentality, like you're just going to be blaming everybody else, wondering why you're broke, wondering why life just doesn't look the way it could. Right. But you're just going to be looking back like, wow, I had that opportunity. But they should have done this or whatever. And it's like, once you just take the time to just really get super honest just about with where you are, get super honest about what you're doing, get honest about even just what you're thinking, right? Like, because again, I think even to your point about how, you know, we're using your 5 a.m. as an example, but it's like, just do it. Like, just do the hard stuff. Like because, you know, I like to look at life just from a simple inputs, outputs, right? Where it's just like, look, if this is the output I want, there are already inputs in place, right? Like the plan is already there. The play is there.
Yes.
Right? If you want to get financially free, the play is there. If you want to get in shape, the play is there.
Yes.
And so it's just a matter of, am I going to be the person that does the inputs?
Yes.
Right? Like it's that simple. And I think a lot of times people overcomplicate it for their own reasons, but it's like, bro, just do it. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, why are we negotiating? Just do it.
What are your thoughts? I feel like right now in this generation, there are a lot of people that are trying to find hacks to things, like solutions and shortcuts to life. Like if I want to lose weight, instead of like going to the gym and eating clean, I can drink this prebiotic soda and take this vitamin every morning. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it is, a lot of it is, you know, you hear a lot of people talk about instant gratification and stuff like that. And I think it's just due to that, right? Like we can go on our phones right now, order food. We can go on our phones right now and find any piece of information just like that. And it honestly takes I think in my opinion, it takes the fun out of it, right? Like to your point, like, because when you grind for something, like when you really put in time, effort, energy, sacrifice for that thing, yes, the thing is nice.
Yeah.
But it's like you look at that thing and you know everything that it represents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I think what happens is what's going to happen is the people that fall into that, let's say they do the hacks, they get the things, right? They accomplish the goal, but there's not going to be like that sense of ownership over it.
That's so true.
So they're not even going to treat it well. You know what I mean? Like if somebody is, let's say they want to hack to, I like using money as an example. So they want to hack to being financially free, right? They want to hack to just say, you know, I'm totally free. I owe nobody anything. But it's like, if you didn't really have to sacrifice for it,
right,
like you're not really going to value it. And I would put money on it that person that hacked their way to financial freedom probably is not going to stay financially free just because it didn't, like, you know what I mean? Like, you
Yes.
didn't really herald it. Like, you
Right.
don't really care about it like that.
Yes.
When it's like, no, I put myself on a budget.
Yes.
I meal prepped. I sacrificed in a
Yes.
real way, like changed up my whole lifestyle, inconvenienced myself.
Yes.
And now I'm financially free because of that.
Mhm.
You just look at life way differently.
It's so true. Wait, I have a funny example about this.
Go ahead.
Do you remember when we were growing up and mom would like buy the frozen meals? And it was like the Marie Callender chicken pot pie.
Oh man,
It's not sponsored at all, but you couldn't cook it in the.
But if you want to sponsor,
they're good.
If you want to,
we're fans. But you couldn't cook it in the microwave because it was disgusting in the microwave.
Yes.
It was so bad, and it was the same chicken pot pie, but it was only good in the oven.
Yeah,
after you cooked it for like 8 hours, it felt like, and you were so hungry.
That's a fact. That's a fact. You just waiting. You just sitting there looking at the oven, just like
watching it tick, like
right.
But that, like, any sort of, like, it's always better in the oven. Like microwave success, like exactly what you're saying. It's always better when it's like, okay, it might have taken a little bit more time, but it'll always be worth it on the other side of it.
I agree. No, I think that's the key to it all, right? Where it's like, you know, and we're talking about designing your dream lifestyle. And I do think, and we referenced this earlier, but it is about that process of becoming, right? And I think that's the biggest part about it. And I'm really glad that you understand this, but it's like, how could you not in the family we grew up in?
It's true.
But to that point though, it's like, if you just focus on that process and continuously ask yourself, who am I becoming? Right? And even in that, right? Like, you can really break that down where it's, who am I becoming? Who do I want to be, but also who am I right now?
Yeah.
Right. And then to your point, the exercise of, well, if I basically stack and multiply and you know, basically look down the line with the actions I'm currently doing, where's that going to lead me? Where am I going to be ending up if I continue whatever behavior?
Yeah.
Right. And then eventually you just reverse engineer it. You just say, okay, well, right now, if I keep this up, I'm not going to like that result. That's not really going to fulfill me. So, but I also think in doing an exercise like that, you're able to add purpose to the sacrifice.
Yeah.
Where it's, you know what, I'm sacrificing right now. I'm getting up at 5 a.m., right? I'm doing a little bit extra. I'm going above and beyond, but I'm not just doing it to do it.
Right.
Like, I'm doing it because, you know, there's a greater goal that really matters more to me than like my current situation.
Yeah. It's like, I always tell myself, like, the future starts now. Like, anything I'm waiting for when I'm 40, it's like, it's already started. Like, the gun already went off. If I haven't started running, I've missed it. And it's all built in my now. It's built in my current habits, my current attention, like wherever my focus is. You have to start, like, have the mindset that you don't just arrive and you don't get started when you're in that season. But if you're wanting to walk in that season, you have to prepare for that season.
That's good. I want to ask you this. So when we're talking about designing your dream lifestyle, everything's about process. And you mentioned this. Was your morning routine like the start for you? Like, in terms of like that, like really applying that mindset of, you know, the future starts now?
Yes, it was the morning routine for me. And I read a book called Atomic Habits. I don't know if I'm allowed to throw like.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Atomic Habits. Everyone should read that book.
It's
a
an
really
incredible
great book.
Yeah. That book, I feel like, jump started me. And the way I built my morning routine is that he talks about stacking habits. So I didn't just start at 5 a.m. like you said. I kind of started in increments. So I started with, this was a random goal. I wanted to floss more. So that was how I started my morning routine. Like, I was just going to floss. And then once I got down the flossing, I was going to read my Bible. And then once I started reading my Bible, I was going to start a greens juice. Like, they all stacked on top of each other. And once I added, I couldn't do one without the other. Right. So then it just meant I had to wake up earlier and earlier so I wasn't late for work.
I was say, break down the whole morning routine. Like, what is your morning routine? So I tell people that there are 4 main things that should be a part of your morning routine.
Wait, don't tell me. I want to see if I hit them.
So, but so I do research on this all the time.
I'm nervous.
Right? Just about like, okay, what's the best way to get people ready for the day? So there's 4 things. So I just want to hear what you do in your morning routine, and I want to see what gets hit.
It'll be good. Maybe I'll learn something, but I hope I have them all.
Go ahead.
Okay. I wake up at 5:15. I go to Pilates. And so I have to drive there, and my class starts at 6. 6 to 7 is the class. I get home about 7:15, make my cup of coffee. I do like my greens, all that stuff, like the health benefits. Shower, read my Bible, journal. I have declarations that I try to say every morning, but not every morning. And then I get ready for the day. And as I'm getting ready for the day, I'm either listening to music or like a podcast or something. And then I go over my schedule for the day.
I like that. So you technically, I mean, It
I'm
depends on
nervous.
what type of shower you do, but you did
Just like
hit.
a regular one.
It's a regular one. Okay, so I'll say if I was being like cutthroat, you hit 3 out of the 4.
What's
Let's
okay?
be
What are the
cutthroat.
3?
But so the 3 that you hit is the mindfulness piece,
Okay.
right? In the prayer, everyone should have a mindfulness piece. Whether you're
Yes.
praying, I'm a prayer. Prayer. And if you're a
Yes.
believer, you should be praying in the morning. That's what it says in the Bible.
And reading your Bible.
And yes, study your Bible for
Yes.
real. But the mindfulness piece. The second thing is the physical aspect of it, right? And it's not necessarily a workout. Now you do Pilates, which is good.
I
so
love
you do
Pilates.
actually work. Pilates
It's so
is hard,
fun.
but physically, right? Where it's you basically do something to get your muscles, your joints just kind of ready for the day. And then the third thing that you did is the affirmations piece. You should have some level of like you affirm yourself before you go out into the world.
Okay.
Now, the fourth thing that you missed, and like you kind of did it, but that's why I said the type of shower is you have to have some level of shocking stimulus to basically wake up your nervous system.
Oh, is this like cold plunging?
Yeah. So like you can either cold plunge. Now, cold plunging is like high level.
And it's super trendy right now.
It is super trendy, but there are a lot of really great health benefits to it. And we can get into that in another episode. But the shocking stimulus, again, it just wakes up your nervous system. So it can be as lower level as just basically splashing cold water on your face just to really wake you up. Or if you have a ring light, to basically turn on the ring light and look down the center. Because again, the light from the ring, like Andrew Huberman has a really good podcast where he basically will scientifically explain all this stuff. I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version and paraphrasing.
Love it.
But essentially, like it's light and then cold water that basically wakes up your nervous system. So like you ever wake up and you're like kind of like you're up, but you still feel like sluggish?
Yes.
That's because your nervous system isn't awake. So if you were to, and also sunlight. So if you look, let's say you don't have a ring light, and when the sun comes up, like don't look at the sun, but basically like, look out in sunlight, and that'll also wake up your nervous system. So you pretty much hit 4. You hit the 4.
Okay, that is interesting, and I will add that because I've heard it's good for your skin. Like I want clear skin, and I hear it's good for your skin to
it's a real thing.
Turn your shower all the way to cold before you get out. So I've learned something on this podcast too.
Yeah, look, that's what we're here to do. We're here to equip people with tangible tools. Because I like practical stuff.
You do, yeah.
While I can go high level concept with the best of them, I do think in terms of actually serving people and helping people, because that's what I know my purpose is, in helping people become the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
It needs to be practical. It needs to be bite-sized. Like I have people that are extremely smart that listen to this podcast, but they appreciate just give it practical.
Yes.
Just make it real.
Put legs on it.
Yeah. Because again, everyone's doing high level stuff, and that's great. High conceptual. Everyone's smart. Great. You should get a degree. But at the end of the day, like we got work to do, right?
Sure.
Like to that point of like, man, just do it. Like we don't have to concept our way and fully understand. It's like, look, do the action, do the input that's going to get you the output. Let's not complicate this thing.
Yes.
Right? Like, yes, learn, grow, all that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, are you doing the input that's going to get you the output that you want in your life?
Yeah.
And I think that's the point of all of it.
Yeah,
right?
I agree. And I will add just like making sure you're not just taking yourself too seriously in the midst of it all. Like once you've got the outputs down, like don't inundate yourself with process that you can't actually live a full and happy, beautiful life.
Yeah. Well, I think that is the dream lifestyle where it's yes, you're productive, you're getting stuff done, but you also are enjoying the process.
Yeah.
Right. Like you actually are enjoying everything that comes with it, right? Building that confidence in yourself as you start with your morning routine, building that confidence as you start to see some of those inputs, and don't get complacent with the outputs. Right. Don't get complacent because there's always another level. There's always a higher version of yourself. Right. Like I'm a firm believer that the best version of yourself is the version that God created you to be.
Yeah.
So it's like you need to make sure that you are always chasing that person regardless of what your life looks like. Right. Like that should be your wish from the moment you take your first breath on this earth, from the moment you take your last breath.
Yeah.
Right. Like even the idea of retiring, like, yeah, you might retire from a job, but you should never stop chasing your purpose.
That's so true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, obviously, not necessarily our generation, but the generation above us is dealing with that. But it's like, there's always another level to go. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care how much influence you have, impact, whatever. You should always be continuing to strive.
Yes. Purpose isn't a job. Like it's not a career.
That's good.
It's like an identity. It's a calling.
Yeah. That was really good. That's a bar right there.
Thank you.
We can end it on that. But look, we appreciate you checking out another episode of the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. Listen, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, be sure to comment, and even share it with someone that you know. Okay, because you may not know it, but I'm certain that the people around you have goals and dreams and they actually want to hit them too. So be sure to share this with them. I really appreciate you for taking the time to listen to this awesome conversation. If you haven't, be sure to get your ticket to the Dreamer Symposium, okay? Your space. Talk about that for a second, just being in the room to really learn from other people.
I think it's valuable. I love online platforms, but I think there's a certain power you get when you're present and when you get to be face to face and you get to write things down and to soak it in and take away outside distractions. Like when we're all digital, like, oh, I can grab my phone and be distracted. When you're setting aside your own time, your own money, your own attention and saying, okay, for this full day, I'm devoting my mind to this. It allows you to be focused and to actually glean information from it.
See? That's why you need to be at the Dreamer Symposium. It'll
Sign
be
up.
your room to get very clear on your goals, how you're going to do them, and you're actually going to really follow through on them. Okay, this isn't going to be just vision. This isn't going to be a vision board party.
Right.
This is your space for goal planning, goal setting, and goal execution. All right, I want you to be there. So if you're interested, the link is in the description below. But always remember, your dream is possible as long as you're willing to work for it. See you guys next week.